Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Tuesday night, the 2nd of February, and it was not a pretty day. Markets gapped down and went down all day, declining channels, and closing those lows for the day down substantially. And the technicals weren't good either. I'm going to show you some longs and some shorts. There were some stocks that stood out today. With earnings, Fabrinet took off, exploded. Now, I had been watching this stock. I almost put a swing on it when it broke out the day before yesterday, around 24 3/4. Missed it, son of a gun. I got up to 29 1/4 today, and the breakaway gap and a beautiful pop. Now, it didn't close near the high for the day, but not too bad. It was still up 293 or 11.7%, and it traded 2.3 million, which is the biggest volume in a long time. This kind of a move and a breakout across resistance often leads to higher levels. I would look for and have a target at around 33.5. There's 2.66 days to cover. Another good day today for Michael KORS. That had a really big day. Now, if you take a look, this stock was on my box of short list for a long time, and rightly so, dropping from 100 down to into the mid-30s. But of late, it's been acting like it was born at the base. Then it broke down. But you can see the snapback and the breakaway gap today, jumping 967 or 24%, 28 million plus, 28.5 million. That breakaway gap with that kind of a surge often leads to higher levels. There is another big gap up here that has to be filled eventually near 60. But I would take a move into the middle of that gap of about, let's call it 53, my near-term target. Let's see if we can get an extension the next day or two. Well, some of the ultra shorts are definitely in play, and this market is weak, so I'm going to be monitoring them carefully. The next up is LABD. And certainly, with the biotechs, everyone in this room is excited about LABU, but I got to tell you, it's not the play. Not yet. When the biotechs turn, it will be. But for now, if we get up across on LABD tomorrow, up through 79.5, we can see the stock in the mid-80s, even high 80s or low 90s, depending on what happens with the market tomorrow, so it should be interesting. Mattel, one of our swing trades, I wanted to point out how wonderful a day it had. They had good earnings. The stock exploded. It did get to my swing trade. My next target's up around 32.3 range, but I think based on this surge out of across this resistance zone with 28.6 million shares, sound familiar? 10.6 days to cover, and up 14% today. This could really have a big move going forward. I would look for a run or a test about 32, 31 3/4, and then we'll see if it does get there tomorrow, the next day, could be a pullback time. But if it finishes further or thrusts further, you can see mid-30s. Breakout on OCLR today. See that pop? Well, it broke the wedge. It got up to a new high, but it backed off. It's still up 4%. Nothing great, but in a bad market on 7.2 million, I like that. Now, based on the overall chart pattern, the target is still 4 3/4, 5. SCO, well, this evening, even though it closed at 195, up about 1663 today, it's trading up another 5 points after hours. The stock is strong based on weak oil, and we may not be done yet, folks. I have a resistance level up here to contend with, about 2023, and it's trading near there after hours. If we get through that tomorrow morning, we can see the spike back on the 225.40 zone. If it fails here, it may get a rollover and maybe form a large wide channel. I don't think so. I think oil's got more to go on the downside, and one of the reasons I've been cautioning everybody here about getting excited about oil. I even got sucked in with ERX. That was a mistake, as it turns out. TVIX, in terms of the ultra shorts, now if you look at the pattern, this is a nice falling wedge. The base, the breakout, the pullback gives you wave 1 and 2. 3 gets you to 14, 15. And I think that could occur if, and watch this tomorrow, if we spike up above 10, 15, this could take off. It's going to be very interesting to watch this one. UVXY, very similar pattern. A run up, strong right to resistance. Running from 25 to 55 inside of about 3-4 weeks. And now this. For my money, the stock broke down today and then snapped back. At 46, 42, we have key resistance. And we're going to have to see if they can do that if that would be the target for tomorrow, 46, 6.5. You can see the falling wedge here, right there. So we pop, we pull back. If we get above 46.5, and that'd be the target for a day trade tomorrow. If we get above that, I'm looking for 58.60, and then maybe much more. Could be interesting if this market gets pounded like it did in here, we could see that kind of a move. And that's going to bring us over to the short side. There's a lot to talk about, but I narrowed it down to a few stocks I think are worthwhile discussing. I took out the stocks that were oversold or not forming bearish patterns if short term. This is what I'm showing you. AMSG was a swing short here. It came down nicely. It's run back up to what I consider resistance and a trend line. If it fails, it was off $1.07 today, not a lot. But if it fails, we can see the stock roll over and get into the 60 range. But the short-term test is about mid-60s. CPLA, one of those educational stocks that hasn't broken yet. The VRI has broken. See it? This is next, in my opinion. At 42, we can see the stock in the high 30s pretty quickly, maybe mid-30s. Keep an eye on this bear wedge. Creato, another bear wedge. Now, I first talked about this stock up here. We gave it to you short around 49. It's got crushed down in the 20s and then came back and now rolled over again. But it doesn't look like it's done. And the next target is 25 and then 22.5. Perfect bear wedge. FOSL, as bad as this looked all year, having dropped from over 100 down to the high 20s, this is yet another bear flag. And it failed at lateral price resistance and the moving average. So it's an easy stop. If you go short this stock, over 35, you're stopping it. 35.25 What's the 34.99 the moving average? So watch this one. My target is 24. GPN. Well, the bear wedge, the bear flag that formed, looked like it reversed today, down 307 or 5%. And I'm looking for more. The steepness of this angle here tells me we could see a move down towards the 50 range and maybe even much worse into the mid 40s. Papa John's still acting well. We gave it to you just short there. It rolled over. It's bear wedging. It looks lower. I can see 41. I can see 38 on this. Rider Systems. It's dropped all year, and yet after bear wedge, bear flag, bear wedge, bear wedge here. This is a rising bear wedge or flag, whatever you want to call it, but it failed near resistance, it appears. Today was off 318 at 5.8%, but a crack from here, and we're headed down towards the 43-45 zone. Tree. Well, lending tree got whacked right there and snapped back in a bear wedge, but it looks lower to me. That's a massive top. There's your trend line. We break the trend line, look for 50 and 45. Verint getting hammered complete. This was a beautiful bear flag that broke. Right now it looks like it's testing the lows. It should press down towards 32. It may get into the high 20s. And lastly is Williams Sonoma, which I gave you up here short in the high 70s, now in the high 40s, and yet another bear wedge which is telegraphing me that it wants to be low to mid 40s. Boy, it's ugly out there. I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.